welcome back everyone. This is Mayank Kothari. This is going to be the first lecture of our exam-oriented batch for May and November 2025 for CA Final AFM. All the people who are appearing in these attempts and also for May 26, they can use this entire batch to go through the CA Final AFM classes. Now, if you are studying for the first time, obviously these classes can also be useful to you, provided you are coping up with the speed. Okay, so this entire video is going to this is going to be the first lecture, and this lecture is going to be based on the three different topics. The first one that we are going to discuss is the weightage of the entire syllabus, and after that we will discuss a couple of points. First one will be paper pattern, how the paper is going to be and in which areas you should focus, and what are the topics or the points that you should keep in mind. And then we are going to discuss about the time value of money. Okay, let's come over to the first part, that is the weightage. This is according to the institute's syllabus, and you can see that there are 6 different sections that institute has divided all the chapters in. The first section consists of the financial policy and corporate strategy. The second chapter is risk management, and the third one is advanced capital budgeting. See, this financial policy and corporate strategy, this entire section covers around 8 to 15% of the total marks. So the total paper that you have to solve is of 100 marks out of 116. Okay, so 8 to 15%, you can say around 10 to 20 marks of the question can be asked from these 3 chapters. Now, financial policy and corporate strategy is totally theoretical chapter. You should make sure that you are doing this chapter honestly, because 4 marks of theory is confirmed from this chapter. 4 marks, that's it. One question will be there of 4 marks, and that's it. Risk management is the next chapter, which can be asked for 4 marks, and the question can be on theory or on practical. So there is a concept called as value at risk in this chapter. Okay, so institute, depends upon the mood of the institute, they can ask some practical questions on value at risk, or they can ask some theory question also. Okay, the third chapter is the biggest chapter of this entire section, that is called as advanced capital budgeting. So whatever you might have learned in CA Inter Financial Management will be useful here regarding the capital budgeting topic. So this is going to be an interesting part, and after this lecture we are going to directly shift to the advanced capital budgeting itself, so that we cover maximum part or maximum chapters in this entire batch, the important ones as well. Okay, now the third chapter is totally practical. I don't think so any theoretical question will be asked in this, but still reading theory will always help to solve the practical questions as well as the theory questions. So in order to build up or strengthen your concepts, it's better to go for the theory of every chapter. Just give it a reading and then come and watch lectures for that. Okay, the second section is of security analysis and security valuation and portfolio management. The first chapter, security analysis, if they are going to ask theory out of it, it will be of around 4 marks, and if they are in a mood to ask practical question, it can be of 6 to 8 marks. Okay, in the last exam, I think I don't remember as such. I will have to go through the paper. Security valuation and portfolio management are totally practical chapters, and there will not be any theory that might be asked from this, but still it is important from the marks point of view, because 20 to 30% of the total weightage is given to this section, where the security analysis, valuation and portfolio management is there. In fact, when we take the regular batch of this subject, the maximum number of questions that we have is in security valuation, that goes to around 140, and portfolio management is also above 100. So this is going to be one of the largest chapter in terms of number of questions. Okay, 20 to 30%, you can just imagine that around 20 to, we can say 25 to 35 marks of the question will be asked in this section. Now the third section is on securitization, mutual fund and derivatives analysis and valuation. The securitization chapter is short 4 marks of theory. Don't miss it. Chapter is small and it's confirmed. Like I'm damn sure that institute will ask 4 marks of theory question out of it, because there is nothing else to ask apart from this 4 marks of theory question from this chapter. And then mutual fund is also another chapter where practical question is also possible, a round of 6 marks, or theory may be asked. So mutual fund is again a scoring chapter, small one, easy one, and scoring as well. So make sure you are also doing it. Derivatives analysis and valuation is the most difficult chapter after in this entire section, and this is going to fetch good marks. Although the concepts are less, but the technical part is there in derivatives analysis and valuation. So you have to prepare your mind in order to visualize all the concepts. Only then you will be able to score good marks in this chapter. Okay, so let's just give it a marking. This is theory chapter. This can be theory plus practical chapter, and this is practical chapter. So even though I'm writing practical only, but this is only a guidance. There is no rule book that institute will not ask any theory question out of derivatives. If they want to make it difficult for you, they will surely ask a theory question out of derivatives chapter. So theory of all the chapter is the most important thing. Then we are going to shift to one of the most difficult chapters of the entire syllabus, that is Forex. I don't think so it should be difficult, but a lot of students at the end of the exam preparation days, they feel that they should skip Forex. So my request to you guys is that prepare Forex like anything. Like if other student or the maximum students are leaving this chapter, you should make sure that you are not doing it, because you have to do something different to clear the exam. And if you are not leaving this chapter, not skipping this chapter, and if you are good at this chapter, then you can increase the chances of passing in exam. So that is my secret tip. Okay, now international financial management is the next chapter. I would suggest to leave this chapter for the end, because the questions in this chapter are pretty big, and there are chances that you might end up making mistakes and losing marks. So even if the question is asked in the exam on the international financial management, and if it is of 4 to 6 marks, then it's fine. But if it is of 8 marks, 10 marks, 12 marks, then make sure that you are doing it at the end only. Do not touch that question, because if the answer is big, you will be making mistakes somewhere in between and losing marks. Unless and until you are pretty confident about the question after reading it, don't do it. Interest rate risk management is the next chapter, which is more like derivatives only. So after derivatives chapter, we are going to cover up the interest rate risk management itself. Ensure that you are not doing the interest rate risk management chapters lectures before derivatives. And if you are good at derivatives, you will be good at interest rate risk management as well. Second last topic or the section is business valuation and mergers and acquisition. More or less both the chapters are same and carry good marks. 10 to 15% of the easy marks I can say you can score if you are good at these chapters. Good. So in the last attempt, November 24, when I took the revision batch in Hindi, I ran out of time, and I couldn't complete mergers chapter. But this time I will make sure that I will not keep it for the end, and I will do it before itself, like in the mid of the entire batch. The startup finance is another important chapter, which is a small chapter, pretty small chapter. Confirm 4 marks of question will be asked, and that too theory. So there are some chapters, I will just mark it now, which you can keep it aside and make sure that you are pretty good at it, because they are small, can be covered in less time, and 100% we can say that the questions will be asked on it. So why not to secure those 30-40 marks, right? Okay, so let me just give you those chapters. First of all, I'm marking those chapters which can be covered in less time. It will cover theory and practical, and also are easy. Okay, so you can mark it in your book as well. I will just make a blue pen. The first chapter, financial policy and corporate strategy, I will give it 4 marks. Second chapter, risk management, I will also give it 4 marks. Then you can confirm securitization chapter, I will give it 4 marks. Mutual fund chapter, I will give it 6 marks. These are the chapters that you can do easily. After that, you can complete the business valuation chapter, which will be of 6 marks. Merger acquisition is also easy, but there are a lot of questions and it can sometime go wrong. And then startup finance, 4 marks. So these, how many chapters are there? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Out of 15, 6 chapters are there. See, out of 15, 6 chapters are there which can be completed in lesser time, and you can score good marks in it. So 4 plus 4 8 plus 4 12 plus 6 18 plus 6 24 and 4, that is 28 marks of the question out of 116, not 100. So if you can easily score this much, then you can push your chances of passing in exam pretty well, because anyhow you have to score 60 marks, like the minimum that you should keep for yourself should be 60, not 40 and 50. Okay, so 60 out of 60, 25 marks easily you can cover, and then 35 marks you have to do it with little extra efforts. Okay, so this is all about the weightage. Now let's shift to the paper pattern. Okay, so let's have a look on this pattern now. Just a second. Exam pattern will be like this. So first of all, we will divide the entire 100 marks into 2 sections. The first is going to be MCQ based, that is 30 marks, and the second is practical plus theory, that is application based. Okay, that will be of 70 marks. Now clear one thing in your mind, that the theory questions can be asked in any of the two. They can also ask some theory question in MCQs as well. Do not stay in that we can say confidence that the theory question will only be asked in the second part. They can ask you in the first one as well. So it will be a mix of the paper. Okay. The good part about the MCQs is you will have 4 options, out of which you will have to select one, and you should never skip any MCQ. Even if you are not getting the answer, go with the wrong one, but write something. Skipping or leaving unanswered will ensure that you're losing the marks, and you don't want that, right? So in case you are not getting the answer, you should go with your gut feeling and mark one of the 4 options, so that there is still 25% chance that the answer that you marked will fetch marks. Okay, so MCQs can be asked, mostly it will be like this. Case scenario, there will be some case scenarios in the MCQ section. So I'm taking this November 2024 paper where 4 case scenarios will be were asked. Okay, the first case scenario had 5 questions of 2 marks each. Okay, 5 questions of 2 marks each, the 1 2 3 4 5, and each was on of 2 marks. Then the second case scenario had only 4 questions of 2 marks. The third case scenario had only 3 questions of 2 marks. And the last case scenario also had 3 questions of 2 marks. So all the MCQs were of, each of them was of 2 marks. So this way they asked you around 15 MCQs for which 30 marks were allotted, but in 4 case scenarios. It may happen that next time they will ask only 3 case scenarios and they will increase the number of MCQs. Sometimes if a particular MCQ, if the particular question is difficult, they can give you 3 marks on each MCQ as well. So it all depends upon institute's mood. The second section start here, which will be called as part 2, and there will be 6 questions in this. Please understand that first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Each of them is of 14 marks. So 14 into 6 is about 84 marks, out of which you have to solve only for 70 marks. This first question is compulsory. You cannot skip it. So 14 marks here. But out of the rest of the 5 questions, you only have to solve any 4 completely. Each question will also have a sub question, like this question number 1A is there of 6 marks, B 4 is B is of 4 marks, and C is of a theory question for 4 marks. So if they have made question number 1 compulsory, you don't have any other option but to solve this theory part. Otherwise you will lose marks. So like you cannot decide to skip the theory section entirely, because institute has made it a part of the practical question itself. Okay, now this is how you have to solve it. You can skip any of the any of these 5 questions from 2 to 6. So 4 into 14 will be 56, right? And this is 14. This way you will get 70 marks. That's it. So this is going to be the paper pattern. Mostly the questions will be either of 6 marks, 8 marks if they are practical, and if it is theory it will be of 4 marks. Okay, every question will have max to max 3 sub questions or 2 sub questions. So you can go through this. Question number 2A, it was of 2A and there is 2B only. So there are only 2 sub questions. One is of 8 marks, another one is of 6 marks, total 14 marks. But in question number 1, there were 3 sub questions, 6, 4 and 4 marks. Okay. So this is the pattern of the entire syllabus. Now we are going to move over to the last topic of this lecture, which is the important one from where we are starting our entire journey of exam oriented batch for AFM. So the first topic that we are going to learn is the basics, which is time value of money. We are going to discuss about couple of concepts. 6 concepts are there in totality, but these concepts will be used in the coming chapters. Please ensure that out of these 6 concepts there will be like present value, future value, which we are going to use in the capital budgeting chapter. Some concepts will be used in the security valuation as well, then portfolio as well, then derivatives also, then business valuation, mergers. There are many chapters coming which are based on these concepts. So if you skip this, and if you are not confident and if you are not good at these concepts, you will face problem in the rest of the chapters. Okay, let's start. So the very first concept is simple interest. And we will start it with a logic that today's 100 rupees is not equal to the 100 rupees that you are going to receive after 1 year. So if I give you an option, I will prove this by giving you an example that you have this option. I will give you 100 rupees and there are 2 options with you. You can take these 100 rupees today or you can take it after a year. Now which option will you choose? Any rational person will choose the first option, because anyhow you are getting 100 rupees only. So in both the option, if you are getting 100 rupees but the time is different, it's better to take it as soon as possible. That means in option 1 today, because once you receive 100 rupees from me today, what you can do instead, even if it is not required to you, you can put it in some kind of investment and earn something on it. If you put it in equity, you can get a capital appreciation. If you put it in real estate, you can get a capital appreciation. If you put it in business, you can earn some profit on it. If you put it on a fixed deposit, you will earn some interest on it. So there are multiple things to increase your wealth by following this concept that the time value of money is different at different timing. Okay, so let's take an example that you can invest this money at 10% for 1 year, and after 1 year what you will receive is the 10 rupees extra on that in principal that you invested. So at the end of 1 year you will have 110 rupees. Now if you want to compare, you can compare this 110 rupees which was received here and invested for 1 year, right, with this 100 rupees in option 2. This is the result of option 1, 110, and the result of option 2 is 100. You can compare any cash flows, but the timing has to be same. You cannot compare this 100 with this 100. But you can compare this 100 with this 110 rupees, and it is clearly, we can clearly see that this option is better because it is giving us more money. Now this is nothing but we can call it as money has a time value, right? So let's create a formula for this. What is the simple interest? That 10 rupees. How did you calculate the 10 rupees? It's very simple. You took the principal amount and you applied a rate of interest on it. Because it was for only 1 year, the timing was 1 year only. So 100 into 10% is the rate of interest that you will earn for 1 year, and that gives you 10 rupees. If you invest it for 5 years, you can keep it like this, for 5 years for 1 year. 100 into 10%, that will give you 1 year's interest into time, that is 5. So this will be 50 rupees. In 5 years, you will earn 50 rupees in simple interest. So this is a basic concept. Let's move on to the second one. This is our formula. Okay. Now the second thing is going to be an amazing part and my favorite topic in real world also. Compound amount and compound interest. Listen to me carefully. If you understand this concept very well, apart from the AFM knowledge or the exam knowledge, you can make yourself rich. If you understand this concept, okay? Read some novels on compounding as well. Now, let's say you invest 100 rupees a year, okay? And you are going to earn 10% rate of interest here. That 10% rate of interest can be of anything. If you invest in FD, that is interest rate. If you invest in business, that is return on equity, return on investment. Okay. So if you earn 10% on it, you will have 110 rupees here. Plain and simple. 110 is nothing but the result of 100 plus 10 rupees. It is nothing but the result of 100 plus 10 rupees. 100 is the principal amount, and how did you calculate the 10 rupees? It is nothing but principal into rate into time. Time, although it was for 1 year only. So if we take principal common, we can call it as 1 plus r, isn't it? Take the principal outside and you will have the formula for compound amount for 1 year ready. This is only for 1 year. If you want to calculate it for 2 years or more than 2 years, you can just put a time here t, because you are going to earn interest on it. Okay, let's first keep it 1 year only. Keep it simple. Okay, this is the formula for compound amount. Compound amount means 110 rupees. That means the amount of interest along with the principal. Okay, so this is for year 1 only. Now let's take a multiple year program. Let's take 2 years. Okay, now how we are going to earn? So this is first year, second year. If you invest 100 rupees here, okay, you are going to earn with this formula P in bracket 1 plus R. How do we write it? 100 in bracket 1 plus 0.10 in decimal. So that will be 100 multiplied by 1.1. Okay, that will give you 110 rupees. So 1.1 is the index. Now 1 plus R, just analyze this thing. R means the rate of interest in decimal, and 1. What does that 1 means? 1 means that we are continuing or keeping or pushing the principal also along with the interest. That 1 denotes the principal amount that we are carrying forward. So if we want to carry forward the principal amount as well, what we are going to do, for the first year we are going to earn 10%, 100 into 1.1. At the end of 1 year, according to the previous example also, we will have 110 rupees. Now compounding means what? Compounding means the interest that you have earned till now is not going to be, we will say it as realized. It will stay there with the bank only. Now imagine that you have invested 100 rupees in bank, and at the end of 1 year, your total investment is 110. The bank is supposed to give you 100 rupees along with 10 rupees, right? But the bank is keeping the entire money with themselves. Okay. Your money of 110 rupees is with the bank at the end of 1 year. Now tell me one thing. If the bank is keeping 110 rupees with them, the second year, if they keep that entire money for the second year, how much interest you should earn and on what amount? Do you think we should earn only 10 rupees in the second year? No. Because now bank is keeping or using are 110 rupees. So how much money the bank is using? 110 rupees. So how much we should get paid for on 110? We should get paid 10% of interest on 110. So what we are going to do? We are going to again multiply this amount with 1.1. We want to earn 10% on this 110 in the second year. Now it will be 121. This is your compound amount. So if you take simple interest only, it is 10 and 10 rupees for each year. And this way you should be only having 100 plus 10 plus 10, that is 120 rupees. But now you have 121 rupees, and that is the magic of compounding. What is the magic of compounding? That extra 1 rupees that you are able to earn just because of the fact that you did not realize or encashed or took away this 10 rupees of first year's earning out of your investment. You let that amount stay there so that you can earn interest on interest. What happened in the second year? Just imagine this 10% was earned by you on this amount and on this 10 rupees as well. So in the second year, you earned interest on interest. And that's when the magic of compounding happens, right? Now, if we want to create a formula for this, it will be compound amount is equal to 100 multiplied by 1.1 multiplied by 1.1. This is what we did. Now, let me just write it in a black color only. How did we arrive at 121? It was 100 into 1.1 into 1.1. Can I write it like this? 100 into 1.1 square. Square is nothing but the 2. What is 2? It is nothing but 2 years of investment. It shows the time. Okay. Can I write it like this? 100 means principal, 1.1 means 1 plus r, and 2 means time. So this is our formula for 2 years of investment, where rate R means the rate of interest per annum, because you are getting the interest annually. That's why the rate has been kept annually. If you would have received the interest in this example for semi-annually, then we would have taken semi-annual rate. It all depends upon the payment terms. It might happen that you are investing your 100 rupees for 2 years, but you are getting paid, the interest is being compounded half yearly, and in that case you have to take half year's rate. Now let's take the same example and discuss. Again, this is of year 2 only, but this time, earlier it was annual compounding, this time it is semi-annual compounding. Now what happens in the semi-annual compounding? I will just draw it here. This is first year and second year, but if you take it semi-annual, you can see that we have 4 different periods of semi-annual in 2 years. Semi-annual means 1 year will have 2 periods of 6 months each, and 2 years will have 4 periods, 1, 2, 3, 4. You can see that. Now, if 10% is the rate of interest for 1 year, what will be the rate of interest for 6 months? It will be 5%. So instead of earning 10% every year, you will be earning now 5% every 6 months. This is the payment timeline. Now what will be your cash flow? On 100 rupees first, you will earn 1.05. That will give you 105 rupees at the end of first 6 months. But after that, the bank is using, for the next 6 months, the bank is using your 105 rupees. 105 rupees for the next 6 months, right? So you will also, you will again earn 1.05 on this. And this way, you will keep on earning 1.05. Now, instead of writing like this, I will just keep it simple, that every time what will happen? You will earn 1.05, 1.05, 1.05 and 1.05, that to 4 times. So our formula will be, and the result is 1.2115 into 100, that is 121.55. How did we arrive at this? It's simple. 100 into 1.05, that to 4 times. Now let's create a formula for this. 100 is nothing but the principal amount. How will you write 1.05? It will be like this: 1 plus rate of interest divided by number of compounding in a year. The rate of interest was per year, and every year we were getting a compounding of 2 times. So number of compounding. And how did we arrive at 4? It's very simple. The number of compounding in 1 year multiplied by the time for which you have invested. So it is going to look like this: 100 in bracket 1 plus rate of interest was 10% per annum, but we were getting a compounding, we were getting a semi-annual compounding. That's why number of compounding in a year was 2. We will keep it here as well, and we had invested for 2 years. So this is how the formula is. Are you getting it? For year 2, semi-annual compounding. Now, if we go for more compounding, like if we increase the compounding in a year, we can go for quarterly compounding as well. In that case, you will get a compounding of 4 times in 1 year. In this case, 2 times. Annual means 1 time compounding. In this case, 2 times. Quarterly, it will be 4 times. Monthly, it will be 12 times. And daily, it will be 365 times. Are you getting it? So I'm going now only with the formula of how do we arrive at compounding. And I will only take 1 year now. 2 years is going to get things more complicated. So I'm going to write couple of things here. Compounding. Annual time, only 1 year to keep it simple. So if it is annual compounding, you can just write it like principal in bracket 1 plus r. You don't have to write t as well. If it is semi-annual compounding, so let's write it number of compounding. How many number of compoundings are there? 2. In case of quarterly, 4. If we go for monthly, 12. If we go for daily, 365. Why we are considering only 1 year? Because the rate of interest is given for 1 year. If the rate of interest is already given for 6 months, then there are only 2 quarters in 6 months, not 4. There are only 6 months in monthly, not 12. And there are only 180 days or something like that in this case. If the rate of interest is given 6 months, is given for 6 months. If the rate of interest is given per annum, we have to calculate all these things in 1 year per annum. Okay, number of compounding. So if I invest 100 rupees in this case for 1 year, let's say the investment is 100 rupees, the rate of interest is 10% per annum. I will write it like this: per annum. Okay, so what will be the result? Let's go with the formula. I will just write down the formula of compound amount here. Simple formula: P in bracket 1 plus R divided by N to the power NT. I will keep a gap of 1 line with every answer so that we get enough space. Okay. 100 in bracket 1.1. This is very simple. It will give you 110. In this case, 100 in bracket 1 plus 0.10 divided by 2 to the power 2 into 1, because it is 1 year only that we are considering. So you will see 0.10 divided by 2 is 0.05 plus 1, and then we can calculate it. 1.1025. I will just skip this one. With 100, the answer will be, if you will calculate, the answer will be like this: 110.25. In the second case, 100 in bracket 1 plus 0.10, 4 times we are getting the compounding. Hence the rate of interest for every quarter should be 2.5% to the power 4. 1.025 into 234 into 100. So that's 110.38. So how do we calculate to the power 4? See, I will just show you. So this is my calculator. Okay. If we have to calculate like this, 1.025 to the power 4. How do we calculate it? We will keep it 1.025 on the calculator, and to the power 4 means we have to multiply this 1.025 with each other 4 times. The first time though I have already written. What I will do, I will just press into and then equals to. And when I'm pressing this equals to, it is the second time that I'm multiplying, because first time though I have already written on the calculator. This is second time, this is third time, and this is fourth time. So always start with the second figure. If it is for 7 times, you have to press the equals to button for 6 time only, because first is the only, first though you have already written on the calculator. Okay, 110.38. Now 100 1 plus 0.10 divided by 12 to the power 12 is, see, 0.10 divided by 12 plus 1. So this is my answer, 1.08333. I have to calculate the value of this to the power 12. First time though I have already written. I am going to do it from second into, then second, third, fourth, fifth, sixth, seventh, eighth, 9, 10, 11 and 12. 1.1047. This multiplied by 100. So it will give you 110.47. Are you getting it? Now 100 in bracket 1 plus 0.10 divided by 365 to the power 365. If we solve it, it will look like this. 100 multiplied by 0.10 divided by 365 plus 1. That means 1.00273,274. We will round it off to the nearest to the power 365. Now tell me, is it practically possible to press equals to button for 364 times on a calculator? No, it is not. Then how to calculate the value of this on calculator? Let's have a look. You will have to press 1.00274 on the calculator. There is a trick to it. And then you can press square root button 12 times. And then you will have to press -1 and then multiplied by 365. What was there in the power? Whatever is there in the power. And then you will press +1 and then you will press into equals to 12 times. And this will give you the answer of this critical question. Let's calculate. I will keep 1.00274 on the calculator like this. Then I will press square root button 12 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Okay. Next step is -1. Don't press equals to sign after pressing -1. There is no equals to. Then I will press multiplied by whatever is there in the power, that is 365, and then +1. And then you are going to press into equals to button 12 times. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Am I right? Or I have made some mistake? Let me just calculate, because it should not be like this much. 0.10 divided by 365 is 0.000274. So what I just made a mistake here. 0.000274 it was. That's why the answer did not match. I will just repeat the entire process. 0.000274, 12 times square root -1 into 365 plus 1. 1, 2. Now it is giving me proper answer, 1.1051. So I will write it like this: 100 into 1.1051, and that is 110.51 that I am getting. So this is how your money or the wealth is increasing. The more you will get a compounding, the more will be your wealth. You can clearly see that on in all the 5 examples, the rate of interest per annum was 10% itself. But because the compounding were more in a year, we were able to earn more. Like in the last part, we were earning 110.51. We were not earning this much in any of the previous part because the number of compounding were less. Now going over, just camera, no, I will close this. One more thing is there, which is called as continuous compounding. This is, you might be thinking that this is the maximum level of compounding. No sir, there is a continuous compounding concept as well, which will give you little more answer than this. So we'll write it like this: continuous compounding. Up now, there is no particular rule to what continuous compounding means. Continuous compounding means every second or every minute or every hour. There is no particular rule to it, but there is a mathematics and science behind it. Continuous compounding is denoted by epsilon, that is E, and the scientific value of E is 2.71828. E, the value of it is 2.71828. You can Google it. Now, how to calculate the continuous compounded value of 100 rupees invested for 1 year? Let's find out. And it's very simple. You take it like this. The formula will be, instead of 1 plus r divided by n to the power nt, this entire figure will be replaced with e to the power rt. So I'm going to start with writing the formula. Compound amount is equal to principal in bracket e to the power, let it be e to the power rt. Why you did not consider n here for number of compounding? Because by writing e itself, you are showing that you are going to do the continuous compounding. R means the rate of interest and T means the time. In this case, 1 year. So we will write it like this: 100 into e to the power 0.10 into 1. That means 0.10 itself. Now how to calculate it? It's very simple, sir. 100 multiplied by 2.71828 to the power 0.10. Now you can calculate this 2.71828 to the power 0.10 with this method. Keep 2.71828 on the calculator, press 12 times square root, then minus 1, and then multiplied by the power means 0.10, and then add 1 and into equals to 12 times. That's it. You will get the answer. So I'm just writing it down. 2.71828, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. Minus 1 into 0.10 plus 1 into equals to 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. So little more only. 100 multiplied by 1.1052. That will give us 110.52. This 1 paisa extra that we are earning from daily compounding to continuous compounding. And that is the maximum that you can earn. So this is the end of the compounding amount. This is the compounded amount. And what is the compounded interest? Interest is very simple. You can deduct the principal amount from the compounded amount, and you will get the interest. In this case, compound interest is 10 rupees 25 paisa. In this case, 10 rupees 38 paisa, 10 rupees 47 paisa, 10 rupees 51 and 10 rupees 52 paisa. This was the compound interest. So this was our second concept called as compound amount and compound interest. Now let's look at the effective rate of interest. What is effective rate of interest? I will show you. See, what is effective means in actual or in reality how much you earned in that 1 year. See, rate of interest in all these cases were 10% per annum. But it's not just the 10% that you earned more than that. And that extra earning is called as effective rate of interest. That particular rate of interest is called as effective rate of interest. And how are you going to calculate it? It's very simple, sir. In this case, you can clearly see that when the compounding was semi-annual, you actually earned 10.25% on your principal amount. It's not just 10% that you earned, it's 10.25%. So I'm going to write it here. Third topic, effective rate of interest. Compounding, I will keep it annual, semi-annual, quarterly, monthly, and daily, or we can say that continuous compounding. We will write it like this, CCRRI. I will just explain it later. So in all these cases, the normal rate of return was 10%, right? But it was not the effective earning that you actually earned. Rate. In the first case, it was 10% only. In this case, it was 10.25%. In this case, it is 10.38, and then 10.47, then 10.51, and 10.52%. How did you calculate this? How did you calculate this? The question is this. It's very simple, sir. What you have to do is you have to just take this part of 1 plus r divided by n to the power nt and then deduct 1 out of this, because 1 denotes the principal amount, right? And we have to calculate just the rate of interest. So if you have to calculate the rate of interest only, you deduct that 1 out of it. So the calculation will be like this. I will just take any of the example. Let's say quarterly. So 1 plus 0.10, I will keep the formula first. 1 plus r divided by n to the power nt, and then deduct 1, because we don't want principal. We are calculating the rate of interest only. Okay, so 1 plus 0.10 to the divided by 4, because the compounding is 4 times. Number of compounding is 4, 1 year, minus 1. It will give you something like this. 1.1038 minus 1, and that will be 0.1038, that you will call as 10.38%. This is how you calculate the effective rate of interest. That 1 plus r divided by n to the power nt, nothing but, okay. So you get that effective rate of interest. What do you mean by effective rate of interest? That had you invested that amount in the beginning and earned 110.25 for annual compounding, what would have been the rate? See, what is effective rate of interest is nothing but the annual compounded rate of return for the same result. If I'm getting 110.52 rupees by annual compounding, then what is the rate of interest? 10.52%. What this rate would have been if the compounding would have been annual with the same result. So that is what is the effective rate of interest. Okay, so I will just move on to the next concept called as present value and future value. And present value and future value is nothing new to this logic that we have just earned, which is called as compound amount. It's very simple, sir. In the previous example, we can clearly see that today's price or today's cash flow is called as present value, and the cash flow along with the interest for tomorrow is called as future value. So this 10% is something which will decide how we can go from future value to present value and present value to future value. Okay. So let's start with the fourth. Present and future value. So first of all, I will just start with the normal formula that we have learned till now. Compound amount is equal to principal in bracket 1 plus r. I'm just keeping it 1 plus r. I'm not taking number of compounding or the time, because we are not going too much into the compounding part. We are not learning the compounding. We are just keeping it simple. Okay. So once we change this formula, we will call the compound amount as the future value and principal as the present value, isn't it? Principal is something that you are investing today, that's the present tense, and compound amount is something that you are receiving in future, that's why we call it as future value in bracket 1 plus r. Simple. This 1 plus r is called as, we can write it like this, present value into future value factor. When you do the 1 plus r, it is called as future value factor. And if you are doing it for 2 years, you can just put t on the power like this. 1 plus r to the power t, 1 plus r to the power t. This 1 plus r to the power t is called as the future value factor. Okay, clear. Now, let's formulate the formula, or let's recalculate the formula for present value. How do we calculate the present value? We will shift this 1 plus r to the power t on the left hand side and it will look like this. Future value divided by 1 plus r to the power t is equal to present value. First of all, can I write it like this? Present value is equal to, just shifting the sides so that it becomes easy for me to explain. Can I also write it like this? Future value into 1 divided by 1 plus r to the power t. And you can clearly see that 1 plus r to the power t is nothing but the future value factor. Okay. Now I can write it like this, future value into present value factor. This 1 plus r to the power t, when it is put in the denominator, when we calculate the inverse of it, it is called as present value factor. That's it. Simple. Now there is a relationship that you can form between future value factor and present value factor. And it is nothing but both are inversely related. Because future value factor is 1 plus r to the power t and present value factor is nothing but 1 divided by 1 plus r to the power t. So I will write it here. Therefore, future value factor is equal to 1 divided, or we can first of all say inversely related to present value factor. Simple. Inversely related. That means 1.1 is equal to 1 divided by present value factor. That means 1 divided by 1.1. Because present value factor itself is 1 divided by something, right? So 1.1 is equal to 1 divided by 0.909. And both will be equal. What does that mean is, if the rate of interest is 10%, year is 1, then if you have to calculate the future value of something, you can multiply that figure with 1.1, and if you want to calculate the present value of something, you can multiply that figure with 0.909. That's it. So let me just show you here. Let's say 100 rupees is there. If we want to calculate the future value of this, we will multiply it with 1.1 and we will get 110 rupees, right? But let's say this is the timeline again, and we have been given with 110 here, and we have to calculate the present value of it. Then what we have to do is, we have to multiply this 110 with 0.909, which is nothing but the inverse of 1.1, and we will get 100 rupees. So you can go from this to this, this to this. You just have to make sure that you are inversing or reversing the factors. How do we calculate it? It's very simple. On calculator, what you have to do, 1.1, keep it on calculator, calc 1.1, and then you can like it like this, present value factor na, on calculator. You have to keep it 1 divided by 1 plus r, that means 1.1. So if you press equals to sign, you will get 0.909. This is the factor to calculate the present value of something at 10% rate for 1 year. Something at 10% rate for 1 year. Then if you again press with that figure itself, if you press equals, you will get 0.826, then 0.751, then 0.683, then 0.621. What does that 0.621 means? 0.621 is the 5th year's factor, present value factor. That means if you have to bring some cash flow back from 5th year to 0th time, then you can use that amount, that figure of 0.621. It is nothing but discounting. It is nothing but calculating the present value of a cash flow from 5th year to 0th point. You will understand this more in the next part. Now, this is what all about the future value and the present value is. I hope you have understood a lot of things in that. Now, let's move on to the fifth, second last concept, that is present value of annuity. Because you have already learned the concept of present value, now we will calculate present value of figures for 5 years. Let's take the 5 years, 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5. Okay. Now understand, what I'm doing is I'm giving you 100 rupees every year for 5 years, and I'm asking you to calculate the present value of this 100 rupees and all the 100 rupees, not just one, but all the 100 rupees that you are going to receive at the end of each year. What will you do? Simple fact is, you have to calculate the present value, means you have to bring this 100 rupees by 1 year. Because it is 1 year away from us. You have to bring this 100 rupees by 2 years, and you have to bring this one by 3 years, and so on. Right? You will bring this by 4 years, and you will bring this by 5 years. Now, there is one way to calculate this, is that bring every cash flow 1 year back, and then you can get the total of it. Now, let's see. I will just show you how to calculate the present value of anything or future value. Let's go back to this point. Present value is nothing but, understand, whatever is the future value multiplied by the present value factor. How do we calculate the present value factor? It is nothing but 1 divided by 1 plus r to the power t. If we have to bring some cash flow by 5 years, we will have to take 5 in t. Okay, not a problem. Let's do that. That means we will have to discount these cash flows by every year's factor, which we have just written there. Okay. Every year's factor is like this. For the first year, the factor is 0.909. Now what you can do is, for the second cash flow of 100, you can multiply 0.909 by 2 times, and you will get the same result. Because discounting by 1 year means 0.909 at any point. But instead of that, you can simply calculate on the calculator the second year's cash flow by just pressing equals to. One more time. Let's see. I will just show you how to calculate it. This is 1 divided by 1.1. You have written it on the calculator, then press equals. Can you see that 0.909 is there in my calculator in the screen, and there also I have written the same thing. Then again press equals 0.826, then again press equal 0.751, 683, 621, right? So what we have to do is like this: 0.909, then we will multiply it with 0.826, 0.751, 0.683 and 0.621. These factors are for all the years. The resulting figure will be like this. we will have a present value of 90.91 after multiplying 100 with 0.909. Okay, then then 82.60, 75.10, 68.30 and 62.10. If you do the total of it, it will look like 379 rupees. So the cash flow every year that you are getting 100 rupees for the next 5 years, the present value of all those 5 years cash flows is nothing but 379 rupees. Right? Okay. But this is not what the concept of annuity is. First of all, let's understand what do you mean by annuity. Annuity means if a similar cash flow is occurring again and again for 2 years or more, it will be called as annuity. And in this question, the annuity is nothing but 100 rupees. Because it is recurring amount, we can clearly see the same amount recurring for the next 5 years. And that's when we can have a shortcut formula to reach at 379. And I will just explain that. Let me just prove it first. When I multiply 2 with 4, I will get 8. When I multiply 3 with 4, I will get 12. When I multiply 4 with 4, I will get 16. If I do the total of it, it's nothing but 36. But I would have arrived at this 36 by just adding the variables and keeping this 4 one time only. Because every variable is being multiplied with 4, what I can do is I can do the total of those variables and multiply it only once with 4. So 2 plus 3, 5 plus 4, 9. And now you multiply 9 with 4, you will get the same answer, that is 36. In this case, this 4 is nothing but the annuity. The same figure which is occurring again and again and again. When a particular figure is a recurring amount or annuity, then you don't have to write it all the time. You can just write it once and multiply it with the total of all the variables. Means the total of present value factor, which we will call it as present value annuity factor. So we will find out present value of annuity is equal to, first of all I will write annuity multiplied by sum of all the present value factor, that means annuity multiplied by present value annuity factor. Annuity is 100. And how do you calculate the total of all those 5 figures on the calculator? I don't have the GT wala calculator, but see, I will just show you. If you have the GT wala calculator, what you can do, 1 divided by 1.1 equals 2, 3, 4, 5 times, and then press GT, you will get the value 3.791 something, you will get that. But in other calculator like mine, I will have to add every figure. That is a little cumbersome task. Not a cumbersome, but extra step. I will calculate the present value factor on calculator and I will add that in a memory. How to do that? Let's see. 1 divided by 1.1. First of all, this is the first year factor. When I pressed equals, what I'm going to do, I will add that in memory. This is the memory button. This is the memory button. You can clearly see memory M plus. Then I will again press equals, then M plus, equals M plus, equals M plus, equals M plus 5 times, because you have to add all the 5 present value factors. After adding all the 5 present value factors, you will have to press memory recall button, MRC. Here it is. You can clearly see MRC. And that will give you the answer 3.791. You can see that. So one way is this. Another way is 1 divided by 1.1 equals M plus, 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 and MRC. Both the ways you will get answer of 3.791. If I'm wrong at somewhere, please enlighten me by commenting in the video. I hope you are liking it. So 3.791 we will keep and we will have the answer ready, 379.10. Rounding of differences there, that's it. So we can easily calculate. You tell me that which procedure do you find easy and less time taking? This one or this one? Obviously this one, and you should do it. Institute will expect you to do this process only. Okay, let's move on to the next topic and the last one, which is called as perpetuity. What do you mean by perpetuity? I just showed you an example where we received we received 100 rupees for 5 years. Every year we were receiving something. Now let's keep that 100 rupees, 100 rupees, 100 rupees, 100 rupees. But I'm telling you that you are going to earn this 100 rupees for lifelong. It's not 5 years anymore. Don't restrict yourself to 5 years. The timing is unlimited. And that is when we call it as perpetual cash flow. This 100 rupees that we are receiving every year perpetually for lifelong without any expiry or timeline, that is called as perpetual cash flows, annual cash flows, right? My question is, if the rate of interest is 10% and you have to put money in the bank, so that the bank will give you 100 rupees every year, tell me how much money you should put it in bank today. Because without investing with the bank is not going to pay you 100 rupees every year, right? And the answer is very simple. You can easily calculate that. We have to find out the amount on which, if we apply the rate of interest, the answer should be 100, right? So this amount is called as perpetuity that you will invest today. This amount is called as annual cash flow, or we can say regular cash flow. And this rate of interest is 10%. So if we invest something with the bank, that means P, and we apply the rate of interest on it, it should be equal to the annual cash flow, right? So can we calculate P? Yes, sir. Annual cash flow divided by the rate of interest, that means 100 divided by 0.10, that is 1000. This 1000 is nothing but, please understand, I will just write couple of words. First we can call it as amount to be invested in bank at 10% to receive 100 every year. In another word, you can also call it as present value of 100 rupees of annual, or we can say annual cash flows which will be received perpetually. Understand this fact. This 1000 rupees is nothing but the present value of future cash flows, because it's today's amount. 1000 is today's amount that you have to invest. That means it's nothing but the present value. Present value of what? The 100 rupees that you are going to receive perpetually. So can I say that the 100 rupees that I'm going to receive perpetually is included in this 1000? Yes, sir. So there are two options. Take 1000 rupees today or receive 100 rupees every year. Both the options are same. It doesn't give you any extra advantage if the rate of interest is 10% and you cannot earn more or less than this. Then obviously you should take 1000 rupees and enjoy. Why to wait for every year? Because otherwise also it might look very interesting that every year we will be getting 100 rupees. But the earning has to be 10% only. So the present value of those 100 rupees is nothing but 1000 only. You take the 1000 not today. That's it. So this is all our concept. I will just summarize and close this lecture here. Simple interest, the formula was very simple. It is nothing but principal into rate into time. Agree? Compound amount is nothing but principal in bracket 1 plus rate of interest divided by number of compounding in a year to the power nt. The effective rate of interest is nothing but the 1 plus r divided by n to the power NT minus 1. 1 is that principal amount that we have to avoid. Present value, future value. Sir, present value is nothing but future value multiplied by present value factor. This present value factor is nothing but 1 divided by 1 plus r to the power t, right? Present value of annuity is nothing but whatever is the annuity multiplied by the present value annuity factor. And perpetuity is nothing but the annual cash flows that you will receive, or the regular cash flows, divided by the rate of interest per annum. If the cash flows are per annum, the rate of interest in the denominator should also be per annum. If the cash flows are half yearly, the rate also should be half yearly. You have to keep the base same. So this was all about the time value of money before starting the next chapter. Capital budgeting is the chapter that we are going to take next, and you are going to enjoy it because a lot of concept from these lecture, or these concepts of present value, perpetuity, present value of annuity, we are going to use it in the next lecture. See you.